Hello, good morning. Clifford, 25-year trader, back with another midweek futures market update. So, with that being said, let's get started. And as I had mentioned earlier, Sunday, I was watching this level here on the S&P 500, 6587. You're never sure if these levels are going to hold, but I had a feeling this one might have because as we see, it was a significant level. Like, here the market pulled back and it held. Here it tried to test it again and it held. So, usually when you see s- support holding, it, typically it's a sign that it's probably going to hold again, but you never know for sure because obviously sometimes, significant levels do get broken. So at this point, now that we saw a strong bounce off that support level, pretty much we're back into this range. So in my opinion, I'm going to start watching now for these support levels here to continue to hold. Maybe this one here, like 67.54, and those will probably be like the new buy zones for me. Um, you know, you could like buy close to this support level here, and put like a stop loss maybe down here, like 50 points away on the S&P, something like that, and then target, you know, put a stop like 40 points, 50 points, target like, 80 to 100 points on a profit, right? But you got to be careful because sometimes you will get stopped out. See, like if I just bought this level here on this day, you know, as you see 60, if you had a 50-point stop, you would have taken a loss here on that day. But most days you should have a profit. That's why you want to try and buy as close to support as you can. Like see this one here, the low was 67.51. And even if you would have so like even on that day when the market ripped way down, if you would have bought at 67.51, you probably wouldn't have got stopped out because you bought all as close to support as you can. See, if I put a 50-point stop there at 67.51, I wouldn't have got stopped out. I would have still been in. But if I bought right at this support, I would have been stopped out and taken a loss. So, you definitely want to try to buy as close to that lowest support level that you can. And I use the daily charts because I think they're the best for that. But other than that, let's see what else. Nasdaq, pretty much same thing, holding support as well. Russell 2000, same thing, held this Fibonacci level here from Sunday night's update that I was thinking that level might held as well. Really quick looking. Oh, the volatility. Let's see the VIX here. On the VIX, yeah, see, volatility came down. Like, here it was starting to rise with everything that's happening with the Middle East tensions and all that. But as you see, volatility typically it kind of gets inflated, but then it deflates pretty quickly sometimes too. But definitely, a breakout above 26 is something that you want to watch because if it doesn't deflate quick, then that means we could end up in a high volatility environment like, like over here. But it did deflate pretty quick. So that's a sign that volatility might not be rising back up as we thought it was going to. And then looking at the global markets here real quick, oil, I had believed that vertical price uptrends don't last very long. I mentioned that in Sunday's video. And as you see, it didn't last long, I mean, whenever you see a vertical market like that, they typically don't last long without a correction. And now we had a huge correction. So that's why I was saying never buy the runaway market. Like people who are bullish crude oil, if they're, I mean, if they're bullish, although there's temporarily, with the stuff happening in the Middle East, yeah, it's creating a lot of supply cutoffs. So that makes sense. But is it really a bullish market? Like if you look at the global supply and demand, probably not. They say that oil was in a huge supply glut, actually. So we'll have to see how things pan out. But if the tensions are resolved there, then we could see it retrace back down. So keep that in mind. Although seasonally, we are entering also a bullish time for energies because the summer driving season will be starting and all that in the future. So that's something to keep in mind too. Gold, not much going on here still. Surprise gold didn't really catch a lot of fear buying recently, but it looks like it's consolidating. Bitcoin, same thing as before, not much going on there. The last thing I'll say here is the dollar. I have been noticing a lot of dollar strength lately. Today we did have the CPI report, which I had mentioned in Sunday's update, and it looks like it um, came in as expected. So inflation, came in as expected. So the Fed might look at that and say like, well, you know, like if it came in hot, then they might immediately start to worry about inflation again. But that kind of like calm some of the fear, I think, at the moment. But we'll have to wait to see this one here because Friday at 8:30 we have the PCE, which is also um, the Fed's. They watch that one very close. So, but as far as the dollar goes, it's been strengthening. I've been noticing. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot of happening at the moment. So back to the indexes though. Yeah, I think these support levels will continue to be buy zones right here, like 67.52, and maybe on the Nasdaq like around probably like down here like 24,826, or maybe this Fibonacci level right here, 24,763. So that's about it for the update. Hope you guys have a great trading week, and look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. And always remember, use risk management. Never risk more than 1 to 2% of your equity on any given trade. Have a great week.